And I'm live. That is pretty nice. Today is 24th of October 2025, Friday, and we are back at competitive programming. Yes, which is like pretty cool. And now my goal, you could say, is currently, well, of course, I cannot measure my improvement by looking at my rating, but rating is pretty much pretty cool indication of how much I know. And with that, I would like to increase this by 200 points. And yeah, at least that much. That is how much I want to push this forward. And yes, rating is just an indication of how good I might be, but not the full picture of how good I am. So yeah, but still, yeah, that would be kind of the goal. And I haven't done anything for a while. And now let's get back in the flow, and also let's look at contests. There have been quite a few contests. Okay, there are like four contests which unrated allowed. Okay, there were four contests which I would like to give virtually, not four. These two are the same. So yeah, one, two, three contests which I would like to give virtually, and then there are shit. There is a contest today. Shit, that is okay, maybe not today, maybe not today. Given all the contests that are there is not the best strategy because there is also, yep, they have competitive programming. Who? But yes, they have competitive programming. I don't know who, but yes, they have competitive programming. And yeah, this is the shit. Why is this like this? On. Shit, that was very bad. That was literally very bad. Wait, no, do not turn this. Okay, cool. Yeah, now it is cool. And dynamic programming. I have done a few questions here, and what I would like to do is do a bit more here. Interesting though. I think I'd probably rather work on one of my many projects. Yeah, I mean, mm, it is not that if you are working on projects, you cannot do competitive programming. You can work on a project and then do some competitive programming, then work on a project, then do competitive programming, and doing just one thing is very repetitive. So yeah, I pushed really hard in competitive programming earlier. Then I stopped. Then I made a project, not completely, but kind of. But I learned a lot while doing that about network programming. And now back to competitive programming for another push. And let's begin like simple. Yes, and Tmux. I don't know if Tmux is running. Okay, it is not running. Attach target CP. Yep. CP as in competitive programming. And yo, let's go. And this is the question. And yes, I should be able to do this very quickly. I haven't done like I have done programming, but not competitive programming for a while, 10 days. And yeah, let's go. Your task is to count the number of ways to construct sum n by throwing a dice one or more times. Each throw produces an outcome between 0 and 6. Okay, this the number of throws. There are four ways. Wait, there are four ways to get this, and 1 to 6 are the numbers which I can use, input this thing, and okay, and I can throw as many dices as I like. So that is also pretty cool. Yeah, and n, c in n, we'll take in n, and we will take the number of possible. Now we will have to create a vector of, yeah, vector of vector, and we'll say call it dp. It will have n plus 1 on in one dimension, and integer n 6 or let's say 7 things on the other dimension. Wait, no, it will have 6 things on the other dimension, and we will say dp of, let's say, some certain sum s with some certain, let's say, dice coin d would be equal to dp s minus, when I, okay, this would mean uh, get number of ways to get to some s with only using the first d numbers, right? That makes sense. So how would the recursive thing be look like? Or at least when the sum is 0, there is no way. So that is also pretty cool. And then okay, for int I equals 0, I less than 6, I plus plus, yes, and for int s equals 1, s is smaller than equal to n, s plus plus, yes, and dp s when using um, or wait, here we would have to say dp when I want to get a sum of 0. Yeah, then dot fill this whole thing with 1. Shit. No, fill dp 0 dot begin and dp 0 dot end with 1. Right. There is one way to achieve a sum of 0 whenever I'm using any number of coins. Yep, and dps, and not just this, smaller than n, and let's say we will begin with s equals I plus 1. Yeah, we will begin with s equals I plus 1. Yeah, would make sense. And since s is greater than equal to this, then this I plus equals dp s minus I minus 1. How many ways to get to that sum with using that point? Um, when I was using like 1 less 1. But shit, I would also be equal to 0 in some cases. And like on in the first case when I'm only using 1. Mhm. The number of ways currently, the current number of ways to get to this sum with using the first I coins, and if I use this I coin, then how many number of ways were there? So when I am not using any coin, that should also be a state. And yes, I am taking more time than I should be taking on this. And now the state looks like when I'm not using any coin. That dp for check. Eh, I'm definitely a proponent of not limiting yourself to one thing, that I just usually switch between projects. I am a game developer and game dev, and have a video game I am working on 25 plus future video game projects plans. That is pretty cool. I like people who make video games because video games are cool. Yo, hello. Yep, back to CP. Let's go. You are game dev? Yeah. I was making and something using OpenGL. I was wondering how do I take text user and put in OpenGL? Shit. OpenGL assembly language for GPU. Okay, shit. Yeah. DPSD equals number of ways to get the sum S with the okay, fuck. Okay. This is our DP state, and we have what we have is DPS, and I represents the number of ways to get to some S when we are using the first I coins, right? So I might use the first ith coin or I might not use the ith coin, in which case DPS minus I and I minus 1. And when I'm not using any coin, then how many number of ways are there to get to that sum? Yes, this is true, but shit, I have to change my representation. 7. Shit, I'm just fucking this up completely. To get to a sum of 0, and this is the easiest question in DP. To get to a sum of 0, my DP table initially has 0, and I equals 0 represents we are not using any coins, in which case, yeah, this is cool. This is cool. And here we can begin with I equals 1, and I would be smaller than 7 and would not begin with I plus 1, but with I, as would begin with I. Yeah, that should be cool. That should be cool. Here we can have this, and at the end, C out S DP to get to a sum of N using all the 6 points. So dot back and a new line. I hope I do not mess this up. I hope I don't mess this up. Shit. This should have worked when I equals 1, when I equals 1 and S also equals 1, so 1 and 1, then we would say 0. DP00 should have been 1, which is correct. And then S increased to be equal to 2. Yes, S increased to be equal to 2, which is pretty cool. And we saw this, which should also be 1. So where did we mess up? Auto X and DP, C out X. I lost the question. Compile this code, and here we want to get to a sum of 3. 6 and 3. Okay, this means we are able to reach 1 here in all the cases. And okay, when you want to get to a sum of 1, when we are not using anything, and this should also be 1. I think I'm not initializing the state. Wait, this thing is the sum row, and this is the coins that we are using to get to a sum of 0. Using any number of coins, we can go there. Okay, and here this means to get to a sum of 1, when we are not using anything to get to a sum of 2. Yes, makes sense. And okay, this is also true. Shit. Okay, so what we are, shit, this should have worked. This should have been 1. This should also have been 1. This should have been 1 plus 1, 2. This should have been 2. Using 2 directly, I go here, and not using 2, I go there. Using 2 and shit, Vulkan. Let's go. Not graphical game dev, but game dev. The last part about the yesterday's project. I added mutex. I haven't added the client side code completely, but I added mutex, which makes the project look even cooler. And shit, okay. Yeah, I think I deserve this inability to solve this question right now. Okay. With a calm mind. Coin change. This is a simple coin change question. 10 days feel like a lot. Okay. I should shut up and solve the question. So when we want to reach, yes, how am I defining the state? Here, the row is the sum, and the column is the number of coin, indicating how many coins I'm using. Here, I'm not using any coins, and when I'm not using any coins, only sum I can achieve is 0. Sh- Yes, this is the sum 0. I can get to 0, and yeah, always. This should have been 1. This should have been 1 when I'm using 2 as the coin as S. Okay, I'm filling them in top to bottom row. Okay, from top to bottom, then this row, then this column, then this column. Okay, and okay, and then when I'm here, the sum is S equals something, and I is still 1. Then I'm looking at this state. Si when I equals 1, S minus 1, and I also minus 1 because I used the current coin. Because I can use the current coin multiple times. Okay, so if I used the current coin, how many ways were there? In the same row, because I can use the current coin multiple times. Now let's see that. Okay. Okay, that thing makes sense. And even if I didn't use the current coin, that would also be some thing. Yeah, sure. When I use the current coin, uh, and the current number of ways S minus I plus dp S I minus 1 when I'm not using it. This is still kind of messed up. I am messing up with the state somehow, like in a very obvious way, I suppose. Hello, game dev. Tried AI Pro. No, I haven't. I tried making Flappy Bird and it actually works. Shit. Oh, I'm only 17 years old. Yo, let's go. I also made my version of Flappy Bird. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. This is my Flappy Bird and it doesn't work. Like, shit. There are supposed to be buildings coming from the right, and we have our plane, which is a metaphor for something. But it is like, I don't know why it is not working. There is some error with this. Yeah, that is my Flappy Bird, Flappy plane. I should have done some programming before the stream, I suppose. Some competitive programming for practice. It's I minus 1. So, okay. Like, logically speaking, if I have, like, let's say, points from 1 to 5, 1 to 6, and I want to get to a sum of 3. Okay, I can use 6 as my coin. I can use 5. I can use 6 as my coin. Yes, I can use 5 as my coin. I can use 4 as my coin, 3, 2, and 1 as my coins. Like all the available coins, I could use them. And what would be the number of ways to get to those sums? Shit, yes, I am very stupid. S and shit, there has to be 3 loops, I think. Shit, there have to be 3 loops. Because at each choice, at each place, I have I number of choices that I could, yeah, that I could have, I could take. X equals 1 and X is smaller than equal to I and X plus plus. dp S I plus equals dp S S minus X and I. Okay, let's go. That is again wrong. Why would that be wrong? That does not make sense. I minus X and X plus plus. Here, when we have all the choices, I could use 6 as my last point, 5, 4 when 3 is here. Shit, I think S is beginning from I. I'm not even considering the fact that, okay, that it makes sense. The choices starts from 1 and do this. S is smaller than I, X is smaller than I, and X greater than or equal to S. X is smaller than or equal to S. I cannot use a coin that is greater than the sum. Yeah. Okay. 4 is the correct answer. Okay, 4 is the correct answer. But still, I have to practice a lot now, I suppose. Hello. Yes. Also, yes, I am a developer of video games and designer of TTRPS. Shit, I don't even know what that is. I'm using the stream as background, so I don't necessarily see chat. Shit, bro is using the stream as a podcast. Submit. Shit, I have to choose the file. Shit, where is CSES? Um, shit, CSES. Yes, should have been here. Programming. Should I remove the thing? Shit, I would have to make a new folder for this. Shit. Makes sense, makes sense. I like, okay, what I did is this. I have a main folder named competitive programming and I just write every code here and it would be very hard to write all to find out the CSES codes in this. So a new directory CSES and go there and write the code here and go to CSES. Okay, yeah, I can write the code here. CSE, yes, and N and C in N, take in N, vector BP, we have N plus 1 amount of things. And yeah, state would be like this 7. We can use 7 things and fill dp 0, that is to get to a sum of 0. We Yeah, we can always get to a sum of 0. And then for int I equals 1, I less than n I plus plus. For int s equals 1, s smaller than n, smaller than equal to n, and s plus plus. What are the when I need to get to a sum of s, I'm using I number of points. Then I have int x equals 1, x smaller than equal to I, and x is always smaller than equal to s, x plus plus. This many choices. So dp s I plus equals would be dp s minus x I. S minus x I. Should I think I'm messing this up completely? But I don't even need, I think, this second thing. dp 0 equals 1. How many number of ways to get to this sum? And okay, to get to this sum, I might use the current coin or I might not use the current coin. So dp s, this has to begin with I plus equals uh, dp s minus I dpn backslash and oh, I am messing this up completely somehow. Hello, I'm second year CSE Skibidi table. I'm second year CS BTech student thinking of leaving BTech because there is no actual skills that is taught in college and they don't give time to learn new skills, only academic exams. Thinking of leaving and self-learning. Just I'm thinking of will I get a job without a degree? So I would say first you should get some at least an internship or maybe a promise letter from a company that you can get a job and you can if you can get that then you can leave the college, does not matter. Yes, hello, in my SQL I'm getting errors while importing a SQL file in my workbench. Um, okay, how I would be able to help you, and I guess with SQL I don't know, maybe you can ask on Discord. Is a Discord in the description. That would be a nice place, you can ask for help. Shit, and I feel very very stupid here. S equals I, and let's say 1 again, and I will make every possible choice which I could at this place. Yeah, I should make every possible choice that I could at this place. X equals 1, x is smaller than equal to I, and x is smaller than equal to I, and also x has to be smaller than equal to s and x plus plus. dp s plus equals dp s minus x. Shit, and if I mess this up again, yeah, shit, yeah, I have to, yes, use my brain. Okay, what is this? What is this? Yes. What does DPSI mean? Yes, DPSI means the number of possible ways I can get to S using I coins. I can use any of these coins, right? So when I am here at this place, so I can change I can change S. What are the possible choices I have? the possible choices I have is using 1, using 2, using dot 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 till I, all of these coins. And let's say if I use 1 as my coin right now, then answer would be DPS minus 1, right? That would be my target sum. And how many coins can I use? I can still use I coins. So this is simply depending on I and not on I minus 1, in which case, shit, I don't even need this I loop here. I can hard code this to be 6. Shit, yes. At every sum, I have 6 choices. Yes, shit, it does work. It does work. Yes, it does work. Okay, shit. I am going to delete this whole thing and rewrite again. Take an n, right? N is the target sum. And then we will say we will create a vector of integers. So we will call it dp and its size will be n plus 1. And we will have dpi means or dps means number of ways to get to a sum of s with 6 uh, with 1 to 6 numbers, right? And now for int s equals 1, and yes, for int s equals 1, s is smaller than equal to int s plus plus, and we will also initialize, we will say dp0 equals 1. There is one way to get to a sum of 0, which is not choosing anything, any number. And then at every number, at every s, we will have a choice. And choices will range from x equals 1. X, let's say x is the choice, and choices will range from x equals 1 till 6. 6 is the maximum number we can choose, right? And we will say at this, and also x has to be smaller than s. When I want to get to a target sum of 6 of 3, I cannot use 6 as my coin. So yeah, that makes sense. And x plus plus dp s plus equals dp s minus x. We are using x as the coin or dice, does not matter. C out dp dot back, which is the last number, or what would be more clear is if we use this dpn and a new line. Cool, and I think that should work. 34 minutes, yes, amazing. 34 minutes, yes. That is what is required in a very basic question. So I should really add this as a shortcut. Pending testing, and if this fails, which it might because I'm very stupid, because this this has to be long, and yeah, everything else checks out. The same file, and also add this CSES here. So just okay, let's just do this. Okay, now it should work. Yeah, okay. Things are going on. Bro, are you solving these problems? Why I feel you have solved. Yes, I have solved dice problem, but I stopped doing dynamic programming or competitive programming for like a few days. Correct output is this. I am outputting this, which is messed up because there has to be. I stopped doing competitive programming and now I'm getting back. to competitive programming, I have to answer modulo const in m equals 189 plus 7 and add this and dps modulo m. Nice. And shit, this is what happens if we stop doing something for a while. Shit, C++11. Okay, this was very bad. On to the second question. This took 36 minutes. I'll use this thing, which is better. Yeah, start. Because this also has a lap counter, which is pretty cool. And can you explain how we can start as a beginner? Yes. If you want to start as a beginner, you need two things. First of all, a place to practice questions. And right now, I'm like very bad at competitive programming currently. In a few days, I'll be back on track. But yeah, these are the things. First, you need a place to look up questions, and you can use this thing, CP31 sheet, and you can start solving questions from easy level, 800 rating, and keep moving forward. So yeah, this place you can use for questions, and you can use this book, Competitive Programmer's Handbook, for theory. Yep. You can start reading things, and yeah, if you don't get anything from this book, if you do not understand them directly, then what you can do is use this book as an index, so that you know there is something called greedy algorithm, and then you can look up greedy algorithm either on YouTube or read some other stuff on greedy algorithm. Yes, yeah, if you don't get things from this, if you do not understand things from this book directly, then you can use this as an index to look up things on the internet and understand from there. Yeah. So you can use this as something for theory, and you can use this CP31 sheet for questions, and that would be pretty cool. And start. Consider a money system consisting of n coins. Each coin has a positive integer value. Your task is to produce a sum of money x using available coins in such a way that the number of coins is minimal. For example, if you have this coins and the desired sum is 11, an optimal solution would be 5 plus 5 plus 1. In the first line, put two integers n and x, the number of coins, n and x, the number of coins, and the desired sum. Okay, this is, I have 3 coins and I need to get to a sum of 11. How can I do that? That is true. Okay, yeah, cool. N and x, C in n, C in x, and we will create a vector of integers called coins. Size would be n, and for in reference x and coins, we will take into x. So we have all the coins, and we will define a dp state and dp size would be x plus 1, right? And dp, this is like the same as the last question, just a little bit different. Yeah, and what we have here is DPS means minimum number of ways to minimum number of points required to get to a sum of S. Yeah, and yeah, we don't need modulo because this cannot be very big. And if we cannot get to that sum, then answer is 0. Minimum, and we will initialize every value to be very big. Okay, let's say into max, right? Yeah. Mm. And okay, so for int s, sum will start from 1 and s is smaller than equal to x, which is the target sum, and x plus plus. Now we have a couple of choices, x in for the points, and if x smaller than or equal to s, then dp, then yeah, the way to get to s would be minimum of the current thing, or if I do use the x point, then dp s minus x. Wait, to get to a sum of 0, we don't need any points. And also, here we would have to use 1, because we did use the current point, and then see out dp x, depending on what its value is, dp s question mark or x equals int max question mark. If this is equal to int max, then -1, otherwise dpx. Okay, cool. This does work, and I hope it does work, because I would be a bit happy. CPP 20, C++ 20. Okay. Okay. I mess up on some values. Why did I say this? Because I plus 1 something. So it's like 5. Or what is the maximum number of coins that I could actually use? The maximum number of coins that I could actually use would be x plus 1. I would never need more than x plus 1 coins. Yeah, yeah, that is good. That's good. That is cool. Not this, but x plus 1. And for like custom input, if I have, let's say, 3 coins and I need to get to a sum of 3, and my choices are 2, 3, and 4, I should see -1. I see 1, which is true. Yes, shit, it is true. I have 3 coins. I need to get to a sum of 3. I have 2, 4, and 5 as my choices. I should see -1. I do see -1, which is correct. And okay, shit, I should have been able to do this like in one try, but okay, shit. Yeah, cool. Not very cool, but okay. Now, coin combinations. Hello. Yeah, and like, yeah, it is, but it should not be this. I have not been coding for a while, not been doing competitive programming for a while. The beginner, the beginner after the problem name, it changed. You can look up here on the CSES website, here in the dynamic programming section. These are the problems. If you want to solve alongside, that would be nice. Okay, so 1 lakh split. Okay, now this one. Consider a money system consisting of n coins. Each coin has a positive integer value. Your task is to calculate the number of coins, number of distinct ways you can produce a money sum using some x using coins. Okay, the first input line has 2 integers, this, and the number of coins, and modulo. Yes, we have to answer in modulo. Okay, now it is making more and more sense. N is the number of points that we have, and 9 is the target sum. N and x, C in N and take in x, and now vector of integers, let's say C, which is the number of points, and for integer reference x in C, we will take into x the current value, and now we will create a dp state integer. Dp size would be x plus 1, and what this will mean is dps will be equal to the number of ways to get to a sum of s using all the coins which are available, and the number of ways to get to a sum of 0 would be 1, which is like, yes, true. And for int I or s equals 1, s smaller than equal to n, x and s plus plus. And also since we need modulo, we will say const int m equals 1e9 plus 7. And okay, now we have a bunch of choices at this place. Int x, int x can be our choice. Literally, x can be our choice because the scope is different. So this is not going to affect the main x, int x in points. And if x is smaller than equal to the current sum, then dp s plus equals dp s minus x, and then dps modulo with m. And then see out dp dot back, or more clearly dpx with a new line. And okay, cool, that does work. Let's submit. 2 minutes 30 seconds. Shit, if I do get this right, that would be pretty nice. So plus 20, of course. Shit. Cool. Split on to the next question. And I think, yes, here we cannot use a repetition. Consider a money system. And yes, I feel good. I'm getting back into the competitive programming state, or whatever it is called. Consider a money sum consisting of n coins. Each coin has a positive integer value. Your task is to calculate the number of distinct ordered ways you can produce a money sum x using the available coins. And the main thing here is distinct ordered ways, which means 2 plus 2 plus 5 is different from 2 plus 5 plus 2, right? So yeah, and yes, so we do not consider different permutations. I mean, different permutations are considered as one choice. So we have to be careful with this one. In n and x, c in n and x, and no, vector n, c size n is the number of points that you have, and n x n c, and this has to be a reference. And now we will declare our dp state. And yes, we will declare our dp state. And yes, okay, cool. For not just yet, dp, we will create a vector again, int dp, and size would be x plus 1. And what this means is that dp dps or x would be the number of distinct ordered ways to get to a sum of s. And the number of distinct ordered ways to get to a sum of 0 is 1, which is not using anything at all. And now we'll go through coins first, and then through the sums, which does make sense. For coin x, let's say I is our coin somehow. Yeah, I will represent our coin. And for int s, the minimum sum that we can achieve with this coin would be I, and s is smaller than equal to n, and x and s plus plus. Yes, and dp s plus equals dp s minus I, if we do use the current point. And if we do, then we would also have to take the modulus const in m equals 1 is 9 plus 7. Take the modulus, and here we have to take the modulus with m, and this should be working to get to a sum of s. We are saying if we do use this ith point, would we, how many distinct ways are there to get to this sum? And yes, if we are using, and yes, since single thing can have multiple permutations. For example, if your target sum is 7 and one way to achieve 7 is 2 plus 5, but another way is 5 plus 2, and you are achieving 7 with both of these. And according to this question, you have to consider these two possibilities as the same thing. So you do not want to double count the things. And so among these two things, you will take the one which is lexicographically smaller, which means you will look at the first digit and compare the first digit in both of the permutations. And in whichever permutation the first digit is smaller, that is lexicographically smaller. So among these two, you will go with this one. And if the first digit is same, you go on to the next digit, and yeah, same. You just keep moving till you find a digit which is smaller, and we will consider that permutation. And we are keeping this invariance in our loop because whenever we have, whenever we are using some point I, or whenever we are using some point C, we are then the only coins which we are going to use after using C are going to be C itself, or points which are bigger than C, like bigger than C, bigger than or equal to C. So yeah, we would never have a situation in which we get a permutation like this 5, which is a bigger coin, and then we are using a smaller coin. We will never have that situation. So that is pretty good, and this should work. dpx, okay, and we ship. Okay, and I hope I get this right. That would be very nice. Point change, second problem, CPU 20, CPP 20. Bingo. Okay, split 15 minutes. Some questions, and now the next one. You are given an integer n. On each step, you may subtract one of the digits from the number. And yes, I am resolving these questions again. I have done these questions before, but I stopped competitive programming for a while, which like just maybe a week, around a week, and just to get back in the mindset, I guess I'm solving these questions. You are given an integer n on each step, and let's try to solve at least all the questions which I did solve earlier in this in this section, in this just dynamic programming section. You are given an integer n. On each step, you may subtract one of the following, one of the digits from the number. How many steps are required to make the number equal to 0? What do you mean? The only input is n. Remove one digit. Shit, that is messed up. That is messed up. That is literally messed up. Okay, no, that is not messed up. 10 power 9. If we define our dp state like this, where we have dp s and let's say d, yeah, dps and d, where s is the sum and d is the digit which we are trying to remove, and this would be equal to, if we do remove this current digit or we don't, that is the only choice. So this would be equal to minimum of this current value. Let's just call this x, or if we do use this current digit and subtract this, then dp s minus d. And what would be the value here? The value here would be, shit, what would be the value here? Shit. Yes, this is a choice. Yes, I do this. Or there will be like 10, because this digit can only range from 1 to 9. And using 0 as the number which we are trying to subtract does not make sense, because we just land back where we started from. So that does not make sense. So after, if we do use this current digit to subtract from the thing, and also there has to be a rule if we can or cannot use this. Yes, and yeah. And then mm, the best value here would, and here the second index d, let's say d dash, can have value from 1 to 9. So there are at one place, one choice is this, either not choosing a thing, and another choice is do using the digit, and then there would be 10 sub choices internally on which our answer would depend. So for to solve a single problem, there are 11 sub problems, and yeah, to get value for one s, there we have to solve 11 sub problems for each s, and s is at max 10 power 6 and 11 into 11, so the total time complexity would be 10 power 7, which is very doable. So that is nice. And hello, Pradeep is very cool. I agree. 9295. Okay, this is doable. Boilerplate, int n, that which is the only number, and cn. And yep, now we will define our DB state, which is a vector of vectors. Do we need a do we have to make this two-dimensional? Yes. No, we do not have to make this. We do not have to make this two-dimensional, because yeah, we do not have to make this two-dimensional. One-dimensional DP state would work. N plus 1, and we have to see how many things. Yeah, okay. We are cool for int s equals 1, s is smaller than equal to n, and s plus plus. If we do use the current coin, this is very easy. Not very easy, but yeah, for every s we have choices. How do we see which choices are possible? For which we have to see what are the digits in s, which we can easily see if we make a copy of s, let's say, and c copy equals s, and while c, we will use the, let's say, smallest, the back number from the back, and x equals c, remainder 10. We got the last digit of c, which we know we can use as a choice. And if x is smaller, x is going to be smaller because x is a part of s, so x is always going to be smaller than s, right? So dp s equals minimum of whatever the current value is, or if we do use this current value x, then this, and c divided by equal to 1. And that sounds very, very cool. See out dp to get to n, and state 5 should have been the answer, but we get yes, because I'm a retard. There has to be a plus 1 because we are using some additional operation, and still we do not get any answer because I am a retard. And I should say the initial state in max, not in max, but n plus 1. Yes, n plus 1 is the maximum state, and we say dp 0 equals 0. Okay, cool. That does work. This one took 7 minutes, which is much better than 30 minutes, which it took for the first question, removing digits. But is this correct before submitting? Okay. We have our DP state where DPS means the minimum number of digits removed to mm, make S equal to 0. And we are saying to make 0 equal to 0, we do not need anything. And initially, to get to any number, we are saying the current answer is n plus 1, which is pretty right, because we, even if we are always just subtracting 1, which is the lowest possible number we could subtract, which, yeah, 1, still we would never get a answer which is equal to n plus 1. So n plus 1 is a very good initial state. And after that, we are seeing the number of ways to get to a sum of S, and S ranges from 1 to n. And at S, we have a bunch of choices, and all of these choices are just the digits which are there in the number S, which, and to get those digits, we are using this thing. We are taking C, then we are taking the last digit in C, and we are making the choice using that last digit, and then we are removing the last digit to get the second last digit, and so on. And this seems to submit. Let's see. Okay. And if this fails, which it didn't, okay, that is shit, nice. Split. Okay, next, grid paths, part 1. Consider an n by n squares Consider an n by n grid whose squares may have traps. It is not all allowed to move to a square with a trap. Okay. Your task is to calculate the number of paths from the upper left corner to the lower right corner. You can only move down or right. Okay. The number of input lines has an integer n. We have to calculate the number of paths and modulo. Yes, we will take modulo. That is amazing. N, which is the sides of the square, and then the number of paths. You could go here, this is one path, there, here, here, cool, and then here, and this, then this, and one is there, and this, and then this. Okay, cool. We can do this, and then take an N, and our state vector would be like string. We'll call it grid. Size would be n, and string empty for auto x in grid c in x. And yeah, after this, we'll create a vector, a two-dimensional vector. Yes, and let's call it dp, simply n, and the sides would be yes, n, and lsp stop. Do not tell me what to do. And then for I equals 0 and I smaller than n, and I plus plus for in j equals 0, j is smaller than n, and j plus plus. And what this means is I is the, we will use I as the row number and j as the column number, and at each position we can only go up. We could have only come from left or top, and we will say if grid 0 is not equal to a star, that means like a trap, then we'll say dp 0 0 the number of ways to get to this thing is 1. Okay, cool. Otherwise, yeah, otherwise everything is 0. Okay, and here we will say, uh, yeah, if I is greater than 0 and grid I minus 1 j, like the thing at the top is not equal to a star. That is, we could have come from there. Then we'll say dp I minus 1 or dp I j plus equals dp I minus 1 and j. Right, makes total sense. And if we can, like, j is not 0, we could have come from our left side, and also there is no trap onto our left side. We'll say dpi, we could have come from our left side. In that case, we will say the number of ways to get to that left side. And then also shit, we have take modulus 189 plus 7. And for after this, dpi j modulus m and set. Yes, we are taking modulus twice in the same loop. Very, very bad. But anyways, see out dp n minus 1 n minus 1 with a new line should be 3. It is 3. And let's write what the dp state means. Dp I j means number of ways to get to grid ij. Makes sense. Okay, cool. We will submit this now. What was the name of the question? Grid parts. Cool. Let's go. Hello. Does anyone have the notes for JavaScript and Java? Do not read, do not study Java. Why are you solving these again? To get back into the state of competitive programming. Okay. One man army. Good morning. Hello. How is everything going? Yes, I stopped CP for a time, which is like just 1 week. And shit, so if I, okay, in my first submission also, I got wrong. I got this wrong. And if this was the same error, like on question number 11, that would be crazy. Let's see. Shit. Okay, back then I got 13th test case wrong. Now it is 11th. And yes, I'm solving them again to just get back in the state. And 17 is a prime number, by the way, just to put it out there. And shit, I do get what the problem is. If grid I j is not equal to a star, right? Yeah, shit, I'm very stupid. And if that is the case, I don't even have to check for this, right? This would just work. Right. Yeah. And yes, I can suspect that we have error here because the last bottom right corner is a trap. Let's see. Yes, bottom right corner is a trap. Sh- right, yes. Let's go. Okay. Okay. What is why compilation error with the DP? N auto missing template before brand. Why would should I chose C++11? My bad. Yeah, I chose C++11. C++11 does not have this like auto deduction features. Remove digits. No, get it. C++20. Okay, cool. And split. Next question, bookshop. Shit, I think bookshop is knapsack question, which is like pretty nice. Yes, knew him. Why did you say either that giving every contest is not the best strategy? Yes, it is not the best strategy because like this is like giving contests does not make you good. Studying and solving questions makes you good, which you test. Contest is a test, right? So by taking tests, you do not get better, you get better by studying and studying for the test. So if you are just taking tests, it is not going to make you better. And the same thing goes with hackathons. Hackathons will not make you better, but it's studying before the hackathon and making projects and that's doing your research. That is the part which makes you better and not participating in a hackathon. Participating in a hackathon is not going to make you better. You have to study beforehand. At least that is my philosophy with my two brain cells that I could conjure up. You are in a bookshop. That is nice. Books are nice. Which sells 10 different books. You know the price and number of pages of each book. Price and pages. Price and pages. You have to decide that the total price of your purchase at most. Okay, we have a limit on price. What is the maximum? This is knapsack. What is the maximum number of pages you can buy? You can buy each book at most once. You can buy each book at most once. So this is classic knapsack, and I should be able to do this. N. What is N? N is the number of books, and X is the total price. So, okay. N and X, right? And then int prices, size N, and pages. Okay, price and pages, page, size N, and the first things are the prices and then the pages for in reference N, X in price, and okay, and now we will define our BP state, which is going to be a matrix. Yes, which is going to be a matrix, and we will say we will just call it DP and S on one dimension and the number of items, which is N. Do we have a choice of not choosing an item? Yes, we do, and we are saying DP S I means max number of pages achievable with S as a price limit and and buying among the first I books. And what would be our base state? We would say when we are not buying pages zero. Okay, maximum number of pages is zero. I think yeah, base state is already there. for an S. Okay, should we go through S first or through I? Okay, how would this depend on our previous state, DPS and I? At this place, answer would be DPS I S minus I, which is to get to a sum of S when we are not using the current coin, the current pages, the current when we are not buying the ith book, and DP S minus sum. If you are using this thing, then price of the ith book and I minus 1. This is what we need. So it depends on the previous I. So we want all the I's to be filled when we get to a state. And I think we reduce this to a single dimension? I think we can. I think we can reduce this DP to a single dimension. Okay, I have only made this one dimensional, so okay. For n I equals 0, small I1, when we are using the first book, I smaller than equal to n, the total number of books, and I plus plus, and then the sums. And n s will begin from the maximum sum, which is x, while x is greater than or equal to the price of the current book, price I, price I, and s minus 1. And here you say dps equals maximum, my bad, dp s, which is the current value. In this case, we are not using the current book, dps minus, I think we can begin with 0 and go to then price I plus page I. And s is always greater than or equal to prices I. And pages, we are maximizing for pages, so this should be good. This should be good. dp x s was not declared in this scope, which makes a lot of sense. Should I open this amazing thing? Out of bounds is messed up. Shit. Why would we be going out of bounds? X plus 1. Okay, shit. Yes. Huh? Wrong answer. I think reducing the state is pretty cool. Hello, you get significantly more views on CP. Yes, compared to when you actually learn something in real world based. Yes, Okay, this might be a hot take, but I refuse to believe that this many people would be interested in CP considering the rank it gets in the competitive programming like ICPC. So that leaves probability that many are here for the data structure questions and how to solve them, which isn't bad purely for job and interviews. This is bad not because they love it, especially considering. Okay, one more line to come, I suppose, after this. Yes, this is a hot take, yes, and my hot take on this would be that the mindset with which we approach CP is not going to make people good at CP. People just want to get good at CP. They hope it would be good if they were better at CP, but that is not the good mindset. That is not the right mindset to actually get better at CP, to actually get better because CP is very difficult. CP competitive programming, I mean by CP, competitive programming is one of the most difficult things a human can do, I think, or like at least a college student can achieve, can try to get good at, right? And since this is very difficult, you need to be having a certain mindset which is absent in majority of the people for your own good. And honestly, I love that. That's why I love to watch your streams. Thank you. Shit, I will cry after the stream. But yeah, so yeah, you have to change your mindset, and that is one of the things I might could possibly hope to like show other people that you don't have to think about this as if you are studying for school. You can get good at CP or anything, Linux or whatever you want, just because you want to get good at it, not because it is going to give you more opportunities or something, which is also important. Getting opportunities is important, but while you are studying, you cannot be thinking about, I am studying this because I want a job. Even if you do want a job, the better mindset would be of a curious mind instead of thinking about getting a job. Like, I think that makes sense. Hello, ink and whimsy. Shit. But people would literally do anything just to show it on resume. Yeah, I have been there, I suppose. Yes. Like how they just want to show open source tag on resume. I mean, yes. And shit, also you have to raise your standards. Just making one GitHub, okay, github.com, and I guess let's go to Express. And I think it is Express where people are messing up pull requests. Okay, they have fixed things, it seems. Um, 1200, or maybe I don't know whose GitHub it was. Maybe it was Node.js GitHub. In Node.js's GitHub or some big company's GitHub, people were just randomly making pull requests and they were just adding their name in the README, which is messed up. Okay, there are a lot of pull requests open, closed. They have closed 37,000 pull requests. And let's see the ones that they like didn't merge. How can we see the ones that they didn't merge? Label, shit, block might be the right thing. Shit. There was a GitHub repo on which people were randomly making requests, Node and Express. Yeah, sometime. No, I do not go to gym. I just exercise at home. And yes, shit, 11 is also a prime number, which is very nice. Yeah, so do not, yes, by raising your standards, I meant just after making a single pull request, which you wouldn't even be able to repeat without a tutorial, do not consider yourself a open source person. I cannot consider myself a open source person because all I think I have made one pull request to a repo, uh, like which is my friend's repo, and that is the only pull request I've made. Look at this, 1% pull request. And how can I see my pull requests? Repositories. There was just one pull request which I made, and it was in my friend's repo. So yeah, that is all. And so you have to raise your standards after doing this just one pull request in a random repository. You cannot say open source contributor in your resume. So open source, shit, two in short form. Not relatively big. I am still scared of open PRs and think what if it is not up to the mark. Yes, code rabbit, I suppose. And people are so hello. Okay, they just idiotically do some basic spelling change. Yes, updated spelling. That is like funny. Yes. Okay. And after I've done a few more questions, I would like to show you what I did. Okay, I will show you right now. Here, I updated a few things, and let me show you. Did no pager, log, graph, one line, and decorate equals full. And yes, I'm just flexing on my Git skills, which I just learned yesterday. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, this is the request I made. Yes, pull request I made yesterday. Added mutex in threaded client. So that the problem which this solves is I was testing my server here, and the problem was I wanted a random number generator, and I'm using this function, and I was using current time to get the as the seed for the number. And since my program creates 20 threads and they start running in parallel, almost all of them were almost getting the same seed. Therefore, their random numbers were also almost same. So they were not acting as randomly. So I added this I variable so that whenever a thread gets this I, it takes it and increases it. But the problem is, since let's say initially i's value was equal to 0 and you have two threads, then both of them are running in parallel. So they look at i's value, which is equal to 0 initially, and both of them read I as equal to 0. It is not that one reads I as equal to 0 and updates it and makes I equal to 1, and then the other one comes and reads I as 1, so that their seed is different for the random number. But yeah, since they were running in parallel, so I added this whole thing, even making the connection part inside a mutex, which is this lock function. You can name it anything you want. So this whole section of code, only one thread can run this section at a time. Like if there is some thread which is running this code, then other threads will wait for their turn to run this code, and they will only enter this section of the code when the first one, which is executing this code, comes out. So yeah, race conditions are not there. And let's see how the server is doing with this. Server is listening, go to the project, run the client, and okay, someone made a connection, second connection made, and they started. So yes, things are more real world like with this, huh? Which is like pretty good. Look at this, one connection even closed, and others are still being established. So yes, this is more real world like and testing the server in a better way. Yo, let's go. CP is cool, competitive programming. Don't think as a open source contributor, I don't consider myself as one because I know I'm not there yet. Yes, have high standards. I cannot be comprehended to the people who do it. Compared, yes, to the people. I mean, I should not say yes, you cannot be compared, but yeah, that is a nice mindset to have. Yo, 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 yo. Can you like guide me, CB? I'm trying to be specialist. You just solve questions. This is a very personal question, guiding someone, right? I mean, I only know you from two messages, and yeah, this is a very personal thing. And I would say the most general advice which would work for generally people would be to solve more questions. And yeah, the server is running. That is pretty cool. Shit. Hey, you are giving your ID. We will stalk you. And just use git log one line. I like to see graphs, which is cool. And I'm saying that as if I do this every day. I just learned about this yesterday. 1200 is pretty cool. You were online. 42 is, by the way, the secret of the universe. And you have been at this for 1 year. And so you have been at this for longer than I have been. And okay, you want to get to a specialist that is 1400 rating. So just solve more difficult questions at 13 and 1400 rated, and even at 1500 rating. That would be the thing I would say. Yeah, yes. Get is cool, by the way. Linus Torvalds all the way. You can use slash dev slash random for random numbers slash dev slash that would be operating system specific. I don't think this would be on Windows, this feature. Well, okay, random is here and the file is empty. What do I see here? The file is empty. Random file is empty. Where is sleep? This loop. Okay, sleep is takes a integer to sleep the current thread for a certain seconds, and dist is a distribution, that is a range of numbers, and inside distribution we are passing a engine, which is a random number generator engine, and distribution will take any integer and convert that integer into the range into the distribution which it defines, right? So that so to get a random number, this whole thing, dist in engine gives a random number in a specific range. That is its whole thing, and we pass it to the sleep function to sleep the main thread, stop the main thread, block the main not main but secondary threads. Will declaring I as atomic as in Oppenheimer, I think it should be helpful, though I'm not sure. I have never really actually worked with atomic. I don't know what is atomic. What's up? Hello, how is everything going? The server works nice. Yep, it does. Next week, I have another hackathon, and theme is Gen AI, organized by Microsoft in San Francisco office. I'm pretty excited for it. You should be excited. Microsoft, you know, and it would be really cool if you were to go there with your framework laptop running Linux. That would be like pretty cool. In third year of engineering, me too. Hello, nice to meet you. And back to this thing. 43 minutes in total, and okay, this question attach. This is how we are defining our state. This should be okay, but it is not okay. Okay, turns out, okay, what even is our goal? Maximize the number of pages you can buy. Why would this be wrong? We have um, this as the input. S to get to a sum of S, we take the maximum of S. If, if that was stupid. Okay. And DPS to get to a sum of 0. When this is 0, everything is 0. Okay. Now we should be happy. Yes, we are happy. And just in case, sit from scratch, N is the number of books, X is our limit of money we are poor or not, depends on X. And then we have to take in N pages. Pages, there are N number of pages, and prices N. Then we have two vectors for in reference X and prices. The first list of numbers is the prices. We'll take in, and then pages, we have pages. Yes, makes sense. And now our dp state vector integer dp, our maximum price can be x plus 1, makes sense. And what does this define? To write it again, dx is max Verstappen, max number of pages achievable with x as the price limit, makes sense. And it's like actual formula would be something like, which we will write in the code itself. So yeah, and initially everything is 0, which is pretty cool. And I equals 0, I is smaller than n, I plus plus. And there is a certain reason why we have to begin s from the maximum to the smallest, and s has to be always greater than equal to, s is the price limit, and the price limit has to be greater than or equal to the current price, which is price I, and s minus minus. And dp s equals maximum dp current value s, or dp s minus prices. Yeah, prices I plus p design. Ooh, let's go. See out dp n, no, x, yes, lazy search. Okay, cool. That does work, at least in the test case. I think we should take this long. Yeah, we should take this as long, just in case. Uh, and by this, I meant just this. Yeah, DP state. This would be long, and yes, this is long. This is long. So pages would be converted to long. This is amazing. What is the name of the question? Books of C++20. Let's go. Hello. Do. Accepted. Let's go. Okay, cool. Split 49 minutes and a few questions down. Error description. Shit, I remember this question was, yeah, I do remember this question, kind of. Yeah, I kept messing this one up. You know that an array has n integers between 1 and m, and the absolute difference between two adjacent values is at most 1. Makes sense. Given a description of the array where some values may be unknown, your task is to count the number of arrays that match the description. Okay, and here we have the first number is n, the second is m. M is the like limit of numbers. Numbers can be from 1 to m, 1 and m. Not, and by between they mean 1 and m are also included. So yeah, inclusive. And then on the next line they have the numbers. Yeah, n is the size of the array, and on the next line they have the numbers themselves. Shit. Lazy update sync cool. Not Python. Shit, I messed up. This is not Python. rm rf slash no rm rf, everything like Python. N, and the second number was m, the number of limits, n m, and then vector in a array size n. Everything initially is equal to 0, which is nice, which is a non-achievable value. For int x, a reference x in a, take in a, and for int I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and all the values which are okay, depending on, okay, if the current value, if ai equally, if ai, right, if ai is something, then we'll look at left, and let's define our dp state. N can be 10 power 5, m can be 100, vector dp n comma n plus 1. Stop the lsp. And okay, our dp would be like dp I x would be number of valid arrays till I, where x is the I number. Right, that would be our dp state, which is two-dimensional, and at max I can be 10 power 5 and x can be 10 power, can be 100, which is 10 power 2. So the total number of integers here would be 10 power 7, which is very much achievable. And what would our base cases look like? When the whole thing is empty, then yes, empty. See, depending on the first thing. N is fine, n is fine. And here the values can range from 0 to m. So size will be m. Values can here range from 1 to m, and we will treat 0 as if it were m, and yeah, we'll treat the values as if they were 0 indexed instead of being 1 indexed, which is nice. And okay, the initial state, base state, if a is 0, then dp is 0 for that value a 0 minus 1. There is only one possibility, and everything else is equal to 0. Else, if that is not the case, then we will fill everything with 1. Fill dp 0 dot begin and dp 0 dot end with 1. What this means is if the first number itself is a number and its value is known, then when we are only considering the first element, that value is the only possible valid array at that point, and it can only have one value, one possible valid array, and everything else is equal to 0. But if the first value is equal to 0, right, then every possible value of m, when we are only considering the first element in our array, every possible value is possible once. It has like one valid array, and that is why this thing. And now we can begin from the second element. And if the second element is a like valid value, then and also do we have to, yeah, modulus makes sense. Okay. I if this thing does exist, we would, yeah, dp I the value. Okay, let's say in x equals ai minus 1, right, makes sense. And dp I x plus equals dp I minus 1 if I is greater than 0, and it is always greater than 0 because I begins at 1, x when the previous value is equal to the current value, and if x, then dp I x plus equals dp I minus 1 x minus 1 if x does exist, and if x is smaller than m minus 1, or we could say x plus 1 is smaller than m. If there is also a like next valid value, then dpi and x plus equals dp I minus 1 and x plus 1. If that is not the case, if that is not the case, like if we have a 0 here, then this current value could have a lot of values. X could range from 0 to uh, x and less than m, x plus plus. And yes, so again the same thing, dp I, when we are choosing among the first I numbers, we can always go back once and choose the same value from behind, and yeah, we can just like copy paste. Yeah, and right, depending on the last, not depending on the last value actually, answer, I would say, and shit, we have to take modulus. Yeah, dpi x mod m, same line goes not here but here after adding, and it's long answer equals, we will use a very fancy function I don't know if this is fancy for other people also. Accumulate, accumulate dp n minus 1 dot dp and comma dp n minus 1 dot n on 0 log log. And after this rigorous accumulation, take its modulus with n and see out answer. And hopefully, I might mess this up actually. So, array description. Okay, let me check. Let me check. I want to get this right first try. Not technically first try, but yes, first try. We take in n and we take in m. Makes sense. N is the number of elements in the array, and m is the possible values which the elements, individual elements within A can take. Then we are taking in the current value of A, and then we are defining our DP state. And we will say DP I x equals number of valid arrays from from uh, from A0 till AI, where AI equals x. Makes sense. And if the first number itself is a single number, then that is the only possible value, and there is only one valid array. But if first number is 0, then every possible value which it could take is possible, which like A0 could take is possible, and it is possible only once because it is the first element. There is no variance behind it. And then we start iterating from the like second element, and yeah, from the second element, and we will see how many possible. Okay, if AI is some number, then the previous number, if AI is the current value which we are storing in x, and we are doing AI minus 1 because we are treating m as 0 indexed. So I guess that makes sense. Yes, if x is the current value, and we also have this limitation that if 2 is the current value, then this value can only range from 1, 2, and 3. The difference between this current value and the next value cannot be greater than 1. So that is what we are checking. So the previous value can always be equal to the current value, right? AI, and for AI minus 1, where x is the value at I and I minus 1 makes sense. And if x is greater than 0, if x is non-zero, then the current value already is x, AI is x, and AI minus 1 when the value at AI minus 1 is x minus 1. Makes sense. And if we can take a value that is like higher than this, then we will say if AI is x and the previous value I minus 1 is x plus 1. Those are the only possible values, either equal to x. The previous value can either be equal to x, lower than x, or greater than x. And it's x in this case, when AI is known, is fixed. But when AI is unknown, then the current value can range from 0 till n minus 1. So hopefully that is right. So much things depend on both, I guess. Okay. Thank you so much. Let's go data science or AI/ML is pretty cool. Or and we will meet on Sunday. That will be pretty nice. Okay, shit. I think it is because of modulus. Let's blame the modulus. Yes, it is because of modulus, and this will fix itself. if I do this. That is the hypothesis. Yeah. Choose array description, C++ 20. It was the modulus. So yeah, cool. Split. And the next question, counting towers. Shit. Okay. Shit. Uh, Yeah. Yeah. Again, I have to think now. Your task is to build a tower whose width is 2 and height is n. You have an unlimited supply of blocks whose width and height are integers. Blocks whose width and height are integers. For example, here are some possible solutions. For n equals 6. Yes, shit. Given n, how many different towers can you build? Mirrored and rotated towers are counted separately if they look different. Okay. What are the choices? To split or not to split? I think those are the only possible choices. Should we have to do a lot of maths in this one? Wait, and before doing that, I would like to go to the washroom and I would be right back. Arch setup, we will figure something out. We will figure something out on Sunday. Arch setup, maybe we'll do arch, maybe Omarki, something. My bad. When are we going to see you with an arch machine? Not soon, not right now. I cannot run arch on uh, M1 natively, right? Because that is very risky. I do not have any backup. If I mess up with this laptop, I do not have any backup. So I can only do this with VM and we can set it up. We can set VM, that would be pretty nice. And yes, let me go to the washroom. I'll be right back in a minute. Yep, I'm back. And in this question, the main thing is how we are defining the states, how we are defining the choices, right? The choices. When we are at a single row, what are the possible choices? Literally, what are the possible choices? A split or no split. Okay, let's, depending on, yeah, the first thing has a split or not split. The above thing has a split or not split. Let's say the above thing has a split. Then what are the possible choices that I could go with here? If there is a split in the above thing, in the above row, okay, let's talk about in this. When the whole state is just one row, right? When n equals 1, answer is equal to 2, because there are only two possible things we could have, either no split or there is a split, in which case our block would look like this, right? Yeah, cool. And when n equals 2, let's see, when n equals 2, then yeah, for each of these choices, they would, you would see multiple things. If this is our initial row or this is our initial row, the next row, yeah, if this is our initial row, then the next row can have a split and cannot have a split also. Yeah, the next row in this case cannot have a split, that is one possibility, and can have a split, which is also one possibility. So that is cool and shit, not just split, should not just split. There are also these vertical lines like here and like this. Let's make all the choices, all the possibilities which are possible. Yeah. Okay. If the above row does has like, yeah, no split, then what are all the possibilities which we could achieve? Let's say if, yeah, yeah, if we have this thing initially, then the second row, let's make our whole thing, yeah, this thing, and yeah, so dotted line, this thing, this is the first row, this is the second row, this one has no split. So what are the possibilities here? Here we have one possibility to make a line here, which is cool. We have another possibility to not make a line anywhere, that is also valid. And we have another possibility to make a line here and then make a line here. Okay, three possibilities, and there are no other possibilities after this. Yeah, there are no other possibilities after this. Yeah, there are no other possibilities after this. And if we have this as our initial state, then in the second, yeah, in the like second row, first of all, we have this thing here. Now, what are the possible configurations you could have? Let's say one possible configuration is we extend this one thing. Another configuration would be, no, since we have this, another configuration would be to make a line here. Yep. Another would be, since we already have a line here, this is one thing, cool, and the mirror image of this thing, uh, this thing, that is also cool. And another possibility is just fill up everything, fill up everything. Okay, that is also cool. So in total, we are getting, for when n equals 2, we are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possibilities And is 8 the actual? For 2, 8 is the actual answer. So that is pretty nice. And we can here see when we had, let's say, x number of possibilities there were in which there was no line in the current row, and there were y number of possibilities there was in which there was one line in the current row, right? And these x for the next, let's say, x dash, which would be the number of possibilities in which the next thing, in which the next row has no dash, they would be x for, because each x results in 1, 2 possibilities in which there are no rows, so 2x plus, and each y results in 1, just 1, plus 1. And let's say y dash will be equal to, for y dash is the number of possibilities in which there are like these lines in the next row, and for each x we get 1, so add x for each x. For y, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 possibilities. So 4, 1. And that is nice. We can just fill up this table. And initially for n equals 1, that is our base state, 1, 1. And let's say no split, split. Mhm. And it's, I remember when I was doing this for the first time, it was like very tough, but now it is not so tough. N equals 2, and our formula is like still here, which is this x, why is this so small? X dash equals 2x plus y, and then y dash equals x plus 4y. Cool. That is our formula. Let's go. So 1, 1 plus 1, 1, 3, and 1 plus 5, 8, which is nice. And for n equals 3, x is 2, 6 plus 5, 6 plus 5, 11, and 3 plus 20, 23. For n equals 4, we have 2x, 22 plus 23, 22 plus 23, 30, 22 plus 23, 45, and then 11 plus 4 into 23, that would be 92, 92 plus 11, 103, yeah. And n equals 5, this thing into 2, 90, 90 plus 103, 193, and 45 plus 112, 157, 45 plus 12, 7. And then n equals 6. We have 193 into 2, 193 into 2 would be 386, 386 plus 152, 486, 386 plus 152, 4, 486, 536 plus 7, 543, 543. This should be correct. This better be correct. 193 plus 154 into 4, 300, 600, 628, 628 plus 193, 728, 818 plus 3, 821, and I think this is wrong. We have to add this, and that would be the answer for n equals 6. That is like 1364, 1364. I think this might be wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is not right. Maybe I messed up in the calculation at some point. So wait, time is not running. Have you considered all the possibilities? No line, one, two, and with line, y is one, and with line, uh, one, two. Let's code this thing. Let's code this. We have multiple test cases while n minus minus. Yep. And let's call this t while n minus minus, well, t minus minus number of test cases. We will take n, and what would the value be for this particular n? And also we have to return in modulus. Yes, we have to return in modulus 1e9 plus 7, and we will recalculate the answer. Vector response n can be at maximum 10 power 6. So yeah, and mm, mx equals maximum value of n is 10 power 6, let's say, plus 1, just in case. Yeah, so mx, that would be the size, and internally this would have pairs of integers, which is pretty nice. And initialization, res 1 for one row dot first equals res 1 dot second, both equals to 1, where first is the number of possibilities which have like a line in the middle, and second is the number of possibilities which have no line in the middle. Cool. And yeah, and then we will just run our loop for in I equals 1, I equals 2, I smaller than n, or mx, I plus plus, res I dot first is equal to, let's make this long, that will be much better. Substitute in with long, long globally. Globally means on the whole line. And this will be equal to plus I minus 1. Or let's say auto x comma y equals res I minus 1. Right? Makes sense. And here we can do x plus or 2 into x plus y. And this I dot second equals second with the correct spelling equals x plus 4 into y. And depending on n, and also after doing this, let's I dot first modulus with m, and let's I dot second modulus with m. And yes, here output or auto x comma y equals res n mm, and cout x plus y modulus n. I think this works. Okay, shit, this works. This works. Shit. Genius. Shit, this works. What is the name of the question? Counting towers. Shit. So I messed up with my calculation. Hello, how is everything going? How are you? Accepted. Cool. Split. Okay, next question. Edit distance. Okay, so we are already getting at difficult questions. Shit. Edit distance. Edit distance between two strings is the minimum number of operations required to transform one string into the other. The allowed operations are add one character, remove one character, or replace one character. Add, remove, replace. Like move, love, and movie is two because we can do two steps among these and change the current string. Makes sense. And time complexity n square. Cool. This is a classic question, I would say. And put this two strings, string A and B, C A and B. Okay, now vector BP size would be A dot size plus one and vector in size will be dot size plus one. Uh, yes, and our initial values would be in max, where DP we are defining our dynamic programming state I j as equal to minimum steps required to convert A 0 to I into B 0 till j. Makes sense. And initially every value is like infinite. Shit, it is not infinite. Every value is not equal to infinite. We can just yes. Okay, yeah, yeah. This is fine. This is fine. Every value equal to infinite is very, very okay. We can say what we do know is dp 0 0 equals 0. That is going to be our base case. When A is empty and B string is also empty, then we don't need any steps to do any conversion. So I was configuring hours for 2 days, finished just now, eat and gonna sleep. Oh, then configure new. Let's go. Hours, I use hours, by the way, you can say that now. And so that is pretty good. Configuring hours, are you using Hyperland and crazy stuff? And Neovim is pretty cool. Yes, Hyperland is crazy. BP 0 0 equals 0. Okay. Now we will use two loops for int I equals 0. I is smaller than hmm, a dot size and I plus plus for int j equals 0 and j is smaller than b dot size and j plus plus. Now we could either remove, add a new digit, remove a new digit, or replace a new digit. So there are just like three possibilities. Nah, I was using Hyperland for past 2 years. Shit, so you are not new. I thought if you were new, which would have been like pretty cool, crazy. Now I switched to KDE plasma batteries. Wait, Hyperland kills your battery? Huh? Uh, I mean, I don't know if it does. I think why would Hyperland kill your battery? That is very bad of Hyperland. Let me see. Who created Hyperland? A developer named Wax3 and began developing it in 2021. Shit. Initial purpose, intended it was first intended for personal use and was developed alone. Shit, that is crazy. And current status, Wax3 remains the lead developer and maintains the project, which has grown to a significant open source compositor. Shit. Hyperland is a toxic community. What the hell? I have a gaming laptop, so it is gonna suck the power. Shit. That is hmm. Hmm. So it is because of the laptop that you are using, not because of Hyperland. And if it is because of the laptop, then how would switching your display manager, display server, change the fact that you want to save your battery, if my understanding is correct? And why is Hyperland community so toxic? Shit, they have DMs. No way, the computer did woke it. Hyperland is a toxic community. Really right. As I wanted to take a day off because of health reasons, I have to reply to this. Okay. Oh, this is quite shallow, almost as if I vehicles. Yeah, oh, LGBTQ is fucking trash anyway. What is happening? I don't know. Okay, let's get back to edit distance question. I will rise again. Desktop. That is nice. I get 4 hours in KDE, but 2.5 in shit. 2.5 is very bad. 4 hours is okay, but 2.5 is very bad. 4 hours is manageable. 2.5 is very bad. Shit, shit. Why would Hyperland be like this? This is crazy. Hyperland should not be like this, sucking the marrow out of the life. So either we remove the last character from A, we remove the last character from B, or we replace, and we only replace if they are not same. So if I, which means we can remove the last character from A, then dp I j equals minimum of equals dp I minus 1 and j. That's one. In which is into max is not a very good choice. We should say n into or what n is not even a thing. Maximum of a dot size or b dot size. Yeah, that is a nice value, I would say. Nice starting value. Now, if j, then dp I j equals minimum dp I j, the current value, comma, dp I minus 1. And shit, I think we have to, okay, there would also be a question in which, that is not edit distance. But yeah, there are also questions in which we have to give the solution and not just the optimal value of the solution. So yeah, we have to recreate the solution, and I think that is longest increasing longest common subsequence question. Yeah, in which we have to recreate the answer. And shit, shit, it is the next question. Shit. Okay. Anyways, j, j minus 1, minus 1 if we are removing the last character from the B string. And there is another one more option, which is replace. And now if dp I greater than 0, and if I greater than 0, and j is also greater than 0. Okay, okay, I messed up in this fact that this has to go till AI, and this also has to go till AI, and that is nice. That is nice. And if both are non-zero, in this case, depending if a I minus 1 equals b I minus b j minus 1. If this is the case, then why is this I minus 1? J minus 1 plus 1, because we did do one step. So yeah. And dp I j equals dp I minus 1 and j minus 1. Else, if that is not the case, then we minimum. We have to find the minimum answer. So the current value could also be the like minimum best value. So yeah, well, actually here plus integer a I minus 1 equals b j minus 1. I think that should be good enough. dp a dot size when we are choosing the whole a array, and b dot size when we are choosing the whole b array for the edit distance. And hopefully this is right. Okay, right. And we'll submit and see. I think this might actually be correct. Okay, okay, this might be correct. This might actually be correct. 94% done. And okay, this is not even close. Mm, okay, not even close. Shit, a color-blind person can tell that this is wrong. Okay. But this is not the reason why the answer is wrong, but still, dpij. Let's print dpi. Oh, okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. And okay, this is wrong. We should not see 0 here. Yeah, we should see 1 here, not 0. So that is absolutely wrong. not equal. Shit. This has to be not equal. Yeah, now we do see a 1 and still the final answer is 2. Okay, shit. That was the mistake. 2. 2. And we can submit. Shit, this is too horrible. Okay. Edit distance and submit. That was the only mistake, which is now fixed. 15 minutes for that one, and now split. And we start again from 0 and pause for a minute. I have to turn off the fan. Just 1 second. Not 1 second, 5 seconds. And yep, now on to the next question. Yep, on to the next question. Longest common subsequence. And in this question, we don't just have to tell the length of the longest common subsequence. We have to tell the sequence itself, which is the more difficult part. Yeah. Okay, and we have two sequences. Length of the first sequence, the length of the second sequence, and we have to find the longest common subsequence. Shit. Okay. Okay. So how is our state going to look like? Start. Yes, let's go. Start, and we have a number. We have not just a number, we have two arrays of numbers like this. That is what we have. And okay, how are we going to define our state? We will say dp I j equals some number x, right? Let's say, yeah, and this means that longest common subsequence LCS, longest common subsequence, when or when considering A is our first series of numbers, elements in A from 0 till I, and elements in B from 0 till J. This is what dpij means, and that value is equal to x. And okay, so that is our that is how we are defining our dp state. So what would be the thing which is true in this? The thing that is, okay, what are the properties for this? We can say, okay, either the ith value in A and the bth value in J, they are equal or not equal. Those are the only two possibilities. Yes, either they are equal or not equal. So yeah, equal or not not equal. If the last values in A and B, last in the sense how much we are considering, if they are equal, then we can say dp I j, or if they are equal, I j would be equal to dp I minus 1 j minus 1 plus 1. Right, yeah, longest common subsequence, yes. Yeah, whatever is, we have removed the last values from both of the mm, vectors that we have of numbers, and yeah, we have removed one value from A, we have removed one value from B, and since we know that the last number is equal in both of them, therefore we are adding one to the best value when we are not considering the last number in both of them. Yeah, this would be the case when the last numbers are equal in A and B. But if they are not equal in this case, like, yeah, in this case, we could see the best value, ij, would be equal to dp or maximum of two things. Yeah, maximum of two things. Maximum of either dp, we remove the last number from a, and j, this, or dp, we remove the last number from j, this, or if we remove one from both, that is also one possibility. It's dpi minus 1 and j minus 1. Yeah, cool. Shit, yes. Yes, we have solved the answer, the like meaning of the universe. Equal and not equal. Okay, this makes sense. If the last values are equal, then then we remove both of those last values and add one to it because the last value is equal. And if they are not equal, then there are three possibilities. We remove one element from a, from the first series of numbers, one element from the second series of numbers, or one element from both of them, in which case this is the answer. Okay, cool. And then we will have to reconstruct the whole thing, which means we have to keep in mind what were the decisions we made at some particular thing. What were the decisions that we made at some particular, yeah, these are the only values, these are the only decisions in which the value is increasing. And yes, we can do this. We can do this. Yeah, we will be able to construct the final answer. Hello. Said, I think I might know you, which is crazy. Yeah. Hello. Anyways, and yes, 6 minutes have been. This has been 6 minutes. And longest common subsequence. Okay, let's write code for this. CSES. Okay. And n. Nope. All we have is n and m. Let's say n is the length of the first sequence and m is the length of the second sequence. Vector integer a size n and vector called v size n, and then for int reference x in a cn to x, and same for b. And now we have the whole thing, and now we have to create our dp state, which we will just call dp, and sizes would be n plus 1 and vector int b m plus 1. Those would be the dimensions, and we are looking for the maximum. So if we begin with 0, that is a very nice beginning value. Yeah, longest common subsequence. And yeah, this is cool. This is cool. We can just start iterating for int I equals 0 and I less than equal to n I plus plus, and then for when j equals 0, j less than equal to m and j plus plus. Yes, and you also. And for dp, okay, depending on these two numbers are equal or not, or you could just merge these two states into one, and the only difference between this and this is this plus 1 is being added in this state, here, this plus 1 is being added here, but here plus 1 is not being added if they are not equal, and everything else is same. So we can just add plus 1 and check if the last values are equal or not. So if I, that is, we can remove I, then dpij equals dpij, the current dp, equals maximum of dp I j comma dp I minus 1 and j. Or not else, but if j, then we would be able to remove j also. And ij equals maximum of dpi and j comma dpi is same, but we are removing one number from j. And if I is non-zero and j is also non-zero, in which case we can remove both of them, and we would say this equals maximum of dp I ij, which is the current state, and dp I minus 1 and j minus 1 plus an integer which depends on the current values. AI is not equal. If AI is equal to AJ, then we will add 1. So if AI equals BJ, and we are doing J minus 1 because A, we are doing minus 1, I minus 1, and B, J minus 1 here because I and J are one indexed in this state, but they are not actually one indexed. And at least we should be able to get the length of the longest common subsequence. Okay, at least the length is correct. That is pretty cool. Now we have to find the sequence itself. That was weird. Shit. Okay. That is a very vague statement. Shit. Okay. Now we have the answer. Not the answer. We have the optimized value. What we have to. Shit. Okay. That was weird. The comment I made. Maybe I know you or not. Shit. Okay. Okay. I messed up reading. So much time in installing Arch. 2 days. I mean, you are a veteran. I guess only you can say this. Too much time in installing Arch. 2 days. I would say, yeah, 2 days is a lot of time in installing Arch. If he was using Hyperland for 2 years, spending 2 days is quite a bit long. Okay, what are the steps? First, you have to create partitions, right? One partition for storing your BIOS, not BIOS, but something. If Arch installed 30 minutes, if manual partition 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay, bro will tell me exactly everything. Okay, at this point, it must be like, you know, like imprinted into your brain after 8 years. And 7 is also a prime number. Okay. Vector int response. Okay. Topic focus is gone. Okay. Like, yes, we have ADHD, I suppose. So insert a pen drive from BIOS, boot into Arch. Yes, this is also very interesting, by the way. Yeah, and this is off topic, but still very, very interesting. Boot pen drive into Arch. Boot pen drive into Arch does not make sense. Boot Arch through the pen drive. This is our DP state. perfect representation. Okay. And we have some number here. And this thing could have come from here, or from here. And if, and, okay, so this number is something, right? This number is some number, let's say like 2, which means when we are considering all the elements in this A array and all the elements in this B array, 2 is the maximum length of the longest common subsequence among A and B. So we have to find which of those two characters are the same ones. And that would be the case, okay, if that would be the cases when we did here, when we had AI and AJ equal to each other, which means this thing, this number here and this number in A and this number in B, they were equal to each other, and we went on to this state here. And this thing was 1 lower than this thing. Like if this is x, then this must have been x minus 1. And if whenever we see something like this, we will move on to this cell and we'll keep moving left, left, left until we see something like this again, where the current numbers are same. I think that is the only thing that we need. The current numbers have to be same. And we can just move diagonally up, and we will keep doing this. We will start from the rightmost thing here, the rightmost number, and we'll keep moving till we are already here, and like we'll go till here. That makes sense, I guess. Okay, then you will be into first CLI. Yes, there you have to do F RF kill unblock to unblock your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Then you are on Ethernet. Then if you are on Ethernet, no issues. And if you are on wireless network, you IWCTL, yes, use IWCTL, list devices, stations, and connect to station. I've done a little bit of that thing. Then in IWCTL, you type device list to check Wi-Fi you got. Then you do station WLAN 0 scan. It shows WLAN 0 in your, if it shows WLAN 0 in your type of Wi-Fi. So this devices list gives us the NICs, network interface chips, I think, right? And among them we will use the Wi-Fi device, whichever we are, the Wi-Fi chip on our machine which we are using to connect. And then using this command, station WLAN scan, we can see all the available networks which we can connect to. And then station connect your Wi-Fi name, then it will ask you for password to enter it. Yes, and then we will update our Arch ISO, right? Pacman SYYU or something like that, and then we will move forward. Then we will have to make partitions and everything. No, shit, I messed up. Mm, hydration. No, no, not Arch install. Shit. Me use Ghosty here. Ghosty by Mr. Mitchell Hashimoto. No, we don't do Arch install. Shit. Arch install is very convenient, but no, no. I would say I have used Arch install, but no, it does not feel like you are doing something. Yo, me also ZSH. Me also use ZSH. Z shell, but I will switch to Bash when I know how to configure Bash. I'm learning how to configure Bash. And there is only one book to learn Bash, which is the Linux command line. Yes, this book by William Shorts, I think is the writer. Yeah, William Shorts. This is the book, and this is pretty cool. Where don't you need anything? Just set up partition and locale. Set up partition and mount. Yeah, it is like not very complicated. We just have to understand what we are doing, and in a few, yeah, it would not be that complicated if you know how systems boot up. You just have to like create a bootable partition in your hard drive, and yeah, that is the only thing you need, right? Just create a bootable partition on your hard drive from your pen drive so that you can run Arch without the pen drive. And remove partition, then you will be into TTY1. Let's go. Teletyper. I may install Gen 2 in the near future. Shit. Future Muad'Dib. Log in their username, then password, and then make the new user a sudo user. Right? Sudo user mod a capital G, the name of the user, and then su to go back to the user, and then no, 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 not GNOME. And should GDM is I think a graphical debugger for on top of GDB if I'm not wrong. GNOME Display Manager. Okay, shit, I messed up. I messed up. It is not that thing. Graphical GDB. There's a program GDB graphical. There was a program someone said once in the chat. A program. Yes, GNOME Display Manager. Have you tried? No. Nope. So that you have something to click. I said, my bad for using a mouse, but said I'm craving for using Arch, but I don't have Intel. All I can do is virtualize on Mac, and I do not have the balls to boot up Asahi Linux natively because yes, I don't have any backup if I mess this laptop up. Anyways, int I equals n and j equals m. While I, yes, while I and j both are non-zero. Yeah, while both are non-zero, we'll see like the above value I if ai minus 1 equals bj minus 1 if ai minus 1 equals bj minus 1, the current values in both the things are equal. And not just that, the value like in the diagonally opposite above, if you are currently here, this value matches with this value in a, in b matches with this value in a, and this value is like what if this is x, this is x minus 1. If that is the case, we will move our pointers here, but if that is not the case, we'll just move I minus 1. I will become equal to minus 1. Okay, if these values are equal and we have dp I j minus 1, which is the current value, uh, minus 1 equals dp I minus 1 j minus 1. If that is the case, then I equals I minus minus and j minus minus. Very nice. Else, if that is not the case, then we will just do j minus minus. We are always doing j minus minus, but we are not always doing I minus minus, which is also fine. And if that is also the case, then we'll do here res dot push back AI. And here for int I equals n minus 1, I greater than, not n, int I equals res dot size minus 1 and I greater than equal to 0 and I greater than equal to 0, I minus minus, see out rest I, and depending on the value of I, this character is either space or not. If I is 0, then a new line. Okay, should be 1 to 4 and it is just 2, like literally just 2. Okay. I will have to go to the washroom and I will be right back in a minute. Like new plugins, it uses Lua for config 2. Then welcome to Arch. So Arch is simple, like the easiest to install nowadays. I remember the good old days when you had to read the docs and you didn't even have Chat GPT. Shit. I'm back. Now it is just another day in office. Installing Arch back then felt like an accomplishment. I mean, it is still would feel like an accomplishment for someone who is doing it for the first time. Right, right, yeah. And if I were to do it, it would, for me also, it would feel like an accomplishment because right now I won't be able to do it in first try because I don't know the steps like mounting and everything, and then moving the OS onto the partition, and also how to create partition. I think it is MKFS, make file system. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Okay, why do we say just 2? And 2 is not even at the right place. So while J, that is Pretty cool. 3. So yep, last number is there. Then we'll move here, and and then this number. So this should have worked, but this thing doesn't work. This is our input, and the first thing which is like ever same, 3, the first 3 we get is here. This is A, and this is this B, the longer one. And just in the latest version, Arch install is so optimized that it gives the best installation possible, that too in an automated manner. I think automation is like pretty cool to get things done, and we should only use automation when we know how to do it without the automating tool. Right? You can only use ChatGPT if you can work without ChatGPT. I mean, for learning, of course, you can use ChatGPT, but do not tell ChatGPT to write code for you if you yourself cannot write that code. If you like, you are incapable of writing the code, then learn how to write the code, and then maybe it is okay to make the AI write the code. But do not make the AI write the code when you don't know how to write the code yourself. And here we are saying this is 1 in just like the second step, which is wrong. Should this is not the second, this is kind of like the second last. Here, when we have 3 numbers from the smaller one, 3 numbers from the smaller one, 3, and okay, we should look at this. 3 in the smaller one, 2 and 3. Okay, shit, yes, 1, 1, 1. 1 is common in both. Yeah, 3 numbers in the smaller one and 2 numbers in the bigger one. So why is this just giving us 2? We begin at I equals n, m equals j. If I and j values in A and B are equal to each other, and we have are equal to each other, shit, while j and I, while j or I, and if not j, if j is like already minimum, if j is already 0 and we have I is non-zero, then what we'll do is j equals m. We will start iterating from the like next thing from the above row. J should be equal to m, and I should I minus minus. Okay. 1 to 4 2, which is messed up. 1 to 4 2. Answer is DPNM. Mhm. And while answer. And we will see if the above value is answer minus 1, if the diagonal value is answer minus 1, and the current values are equal to each other, then pretty cool. Then it is pretty cool. But if it is not, then how do we update I and J? We can just do J minus minus. We'll keep going left. Okay. If this thing and answer minus 1, and this will do answer minus minus and J. If that is not the case, then J minus minus. Constructing answer is always kind of difficult. You'll run out of messages limit if you decide to use ChatGPT in Arch install. Let me show you one thing. Do you use any window manager in your Mac? Nope. Uh, nope. I tried to use Raycaster. No, not Raycaster, but Alfred and something. Shit, I have Raycaster right here. Raycaster. But the thing that I want is, okay, this is the only way, or which I have been able to find, to change windows, to switch between windows. What I want, something like this, which I get in new snap, snap, snap switch. And yeah, this is because of Tmux. And if I use Harpoon, then I can switch very, very fast, which is pretty cool. And I don't want this animation. This animation is very, very slow, very bad. Let me charge my laptop. This thing, this is not fast. Yes, this is very bad. And you can use an option called reduced motions, in which you want me to come and flex. You can flex on Sunday. Yeah, you can flex on Sunday. Shit, Sunday is just one day after tomorrow. This thing is very, very slow. But this thing is fast. This is fast, right? This is fast. Look at this. Anyways, back to the question. We have to find out what were the positions where we made this decision. What were these? Shit. No, 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 no. While answer, okay. And if you find place where the current values in A and J are equal to each other, and answer above is smaller, and dp I minus 1 is smaller, dp I minus 1 j I minus 1 j is smaller than dp, then answer, and dp I but j minus 1 is also smaller than answer. It seems like a perfect condition. We'll do I minus minus, j minus minus, answer minus minus. Hmm. While I and j both are non-zero, we'll keep doing this. Okay. Okay, yeah, makes sense. And this last value is 2 and 4, which like doesn't even match. So yeah, shit. So from here, we will go to the one that is maximum. From here, we will go to the one that is maximum. And if all the three are equal, then this is one of the ones that we chose. And this is like the third last in the longer array, which is 4. Yes, which is 4. 4 is one of the answers. And then we will move our pointer here. And then we will move to the maximum one, which is like we can go anywhere, does not matter. Let's say we go here, and now all of them are equal. We can go here, which means this one is like same, and this is the third one in the long one. Third one in the long one. 3. 3 is okay. 3 is okay. We can have 1, 3, and 4 as our answer, and also 1, 3, and 4 as our answer. Yeah, 1, 3, and 4 is also okay, and 1, 2, and 4 is also correct. 1, 2, and 4 is also correct. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Shit. T-muxing isn't considered. T T-muxing is cool. Is not considered in the speed, but T-mux is cool. And this is pretty cool. And I don't think your point is that Tmux is bad. I never use. Okay, Tmux is cool. How do you work if you don't use Tmux? Like you have a single terminal window and work on it. Like I might want to show you my project. I can just hop onto this thing. Shit, my server is still running. My bad. Shit. And if I want to do CP, I can just move on to here. And if something else, if I want to write some Rust, I can move on here. No, it is pretty convenient. I have tiling. So I am one keybind away from opening any terminal. Say, so you have multiple terminal instances. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yes, 300 terminal screens. Yeah, I do not have a window manager, which is cool. So I have to make do with a single terminal screen, and to multiplex on a single terminal screen, I must do this thing. But also there is this facility called tabs, which is pretty cool. I can move on to the next tab. So usually in one tab I have new vim open, and on the other one terminal, which is pretty cool. I think you also have that functionality some way or another. Tried checking rectangles. what is rectangles? Not mathematically, but is rectangles a window manager? Shit, okay. Anyways, I have to get this right. No, we have to change something here. The maximum. Let's just consider left and right. Yes. If dpi minus 1 and dj, if this is greater than d, this is very bad. This is very bad. dpj minus 1, then we will go to dpi minus 1. So I minus j minus 1. 1 to 4. Shit. Okay. Just checking. Okay. It does work now. But this still, this should not be a trial and error thing, right? Rectangle is a window manager for Mac. For Mac. Rectangle. Okay. But the thing is snap areas. Okay, I've only tried one window manager, which is Raycast, and in that I'm unable to do full screen. I like full screens like this. I like things to be full screen. Yeah, I like things to be full screened. And this is not a window manager problem. This is a Mac problem, that this speed is the best speed to switch between two full screens. This is like literally the best speed. And there is an option which is like reduced motions, in which instead of these things moving like this and this, uh, the thing fades away and the new one comes into view, which is like very painful to look at. Reduce general, maybe someplace. Appearance, tilt window. It could be in the wallpaper. Lock screen, focus. There's a option shit, for reduced motions. It is somewhere. It is somewhere. Yes, it is somewhere which we can, yeah, like turn on and make things reduce motion. Reduce motion. And if this thing is on, this is how things go. And this is like even worse. This is even worse than, yeah, than how it was. Because I don't know especially where they are. What is this? What is this? Okay, turn this off. This is fine. And now to submit this. Longest common subsequence. Yes, let's go. First try. Okay. Shit, I would like to delete this whole code and rewrite again from scratch. That is what programmers do. Int n, size of one array, n, size of the second array. And yeah, I guess this would be the last question. I don't know. Then create a vector A size n and a vector B size n. Then we will take these numbers in the reference text in A. We will fill these and copy B, find A, replace with B. Right now, this is filled, and we will create our DP state, which is a vector of vector, which means a matrix. Size would be n plus 1, and the second dimension would be a vector of integers whose size would be n plus 1, and the initial value for everything is 0. Yes. Yes, it is already initialized, so we can move forward, go I less than equal to n and I plus plus. I means how many numbers, or like how much length of the prefix for the A vector we are considering, and J is the same equivalent thing for vector B, which goes till M, J plus plus. And yeah, we could go like up, left, down, or diagonally up. We cannot go down. If dp, no, if I is non-zero, then dp I j equals maximum of dp I j, which is 0, and dp I minus 1 j. If we just remove the ith element, and if we just remove the jth element, maximum dp I and j, and dp I j minus 1, and if I and j, dp I j, we will remove both of them, and dp the current value, or since we are going diagonally up, I minus 1 j minus 1 plus an integer which depends on what are the values for a and b. A I minus 1 equals b I minus 1. If the values of a and b are equal at this grid point, then we will add 1, otherwise won't. Now the answer is something. Answer is something, yeah. And answer is dpnm. This is the answer, and now we need to create the solution which gave us this optimized answer. Let's call this optimized answer, and then I equals n and j equals m, and why is this? Because we want to start at the bottom right corner of our grid. Yes, that is just what we want to do. Maybe I can stop this, pause. And yes, if we ever reach an edge, then we will stop. While I is non-zero and j is non-zero. What we will do is we also have a vector called response, which is of integers, not of type response. So what are we looking for? We are looking for, and here at this point we know that I and j are both non-zero, which is cool. So if the current values of a and b are equal, so if a I minus 1 is equal to b I j minus 1, and a few other conditions are met, that is all of the values that this current value dpij could be equal to, they are one less than this current value, which means answer is greater is greater. I don't know about the precedence. Uh, C++ operator precedence. So first of all, these things happen. Then this, and with high precedence. Oh, okay, yes. First of all, these things would happen. Plus, minus, multiply, divide, and then multiply, divide would. Isn't this wrong? I think multiply happens first and then addition. So isn't this wrong? This seems to be wrong. Shit. Demuxing, I don't know. I have one keybind on my 300 terminals, rectangles. It isn't great. There must be something tiling to search for it, and you will get something. Okay, I will look for it. Are all the things present globally? Weimar Mac. Okay, I will look it up. What will you be streaming tomorrow? Same competitive programming till I reach 1600, which is going to be very, very tough. Yeah, I have become soft and I have to do that. Shit, Russian, Cyrillic. This seems to be wrong. I'm pretty sure, first of all, numbers are multiplied with each other and then they are added instead of first they are not added and then multiplied. So it just seems wrong. Yes, multiplication and then addition. Yes, multiplication, then addition, then shift. Shifts happen after addition. Okay, and relationals also happen after that, and okay, that is what I wanted to check. And logical and is after relational operators. So we can just, yeah. So this and would happen later. So answer has to be smaller. Answer has to be greater than dpi minus 1 j, and answer has to be greater than dpi I and j minus 1, and answer has to be greater than dpi minus 1 and j minus 1. Okay, if that is true, then we are very cool. I minus minus, j minus minus, and rest dot push back AI. Else, if that is not the case, then we'll see. If a or if dpi j minus 1 greater than dp, we have to go to the one that is greater minus 1 j, then we will reduce j by 1, else we'll do I minus 1. And here, see out, let's dot size, which is our answer, the length of our answer, and for in I equals let's dot size minus 1, I greater than equal to 0, I plus plus, oh shit, I minus minus, and see out let's I, and the last thing depends, it might be a space or not, depending. If not, I should be 1 2 3 or an error. ABS answer was not declared in this scope, which is, yeah, I agree. I agree. Substitute answer with optimal value. Shit. While this and this Why does it never end? Shit, this is not stopping. This is very bad. Time limit exceeded. Okay, this is not stopping somehow. If J equals the optimal value, then you go to J. Otherwise, you go to I. Yes. Go to I. Or something. Yes, go to I. Wait, this is also a for loop. This might be messing up. Shit, rest might be empty. Okay, rest is not empty. And the problem is here, or the problem cannot be here. This is a normal for loop. While I and J, and both of them are in one iteration, at least one of them is being reduced by one. While I greater than equal to 0, yes. Shit, what is the problem? Okay. Shit, I'm very stupid. I take that back. Okay, cool. This works now. And yes, and also 1BRC1 and memory caching. Why is it my comments showing again? I even cursed. I didn't even curse. I was just asking something. Shit. I guess YouTube doesn't want if YouTube is doing something. And you should try writing in the chat um Adolf Eichmann. I think you cannot write Adolf Eichmann. I mean I can write it, but I think you might not be able to write. Or there was another like a Nazi, not soldier, but a Nazi general. Adolf Eichmann was the one who created the ways to kill people. So like very bad. And Heinrich Himmler. Yeah, Heinrich Himmler. Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, you cannot write his name. That I'm pretty sure of. A friend of mine was trying to write his name, but he was unable to. His chat got like, yeah, he was unable to write this name. And yeah, you guys cannot write these names somehow. It is crazy. Okay, so we have done this question, which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool. And it has been 3 hours and 14 minutes, 3:22 p.m. And that would be the end of today's stream. And like, if you're trying to write the name, please tell me if you were unable to. And if I do turn moderation off, now I think you might be able to do crazy things. Shit, my comment got deleted somehow. Shit, Edolf Icon is gone. Shit, that is crazy. That is crazy. My comment got away. Shit, shit. Even I don't have freedom. Okay, that was nice. We did quite a few questions. Not all of them, but quite a few. Here we did this, and this. We did this many questions, which is nice. Yes, I have to solve more and more questions to get back in the mindset of solving questions. And for today, that would be the end of the stream. We did a few DP questions, and yeah, that is good. And thank you for being here. Bye.